Hello, and welcome back to our podcast. I'm the Disturbed Southern Belle.
And I'm the gentleman.
So this week we're going to give you a bit of a bonus episode. Before we pick up with all the spookiness of Italy, I thought we would start with one of their most famous fairy tales, which is the story of Pinocchio.
Yay!
Now this is not your Disney version at all, so there's some similarities, but it is a lot more twisted.
I don't know. I've heard some pretty twisted Pinocchio tales.
Well, yeah. Okay, so I thought I would start out by giving you just a very brief history. So the story was originally published as a serial in one of the earliest Italian weekly magazines for children starting July 7th, 1881.
Jeez.
Right, and that's kind of interesting that they would even have like magazines for children that long ago because, reading and stuff like that would, been an issue, but so...
Well, I don't know. You think about comic strips and stuff like that.
So it might have been more like that, considering it was like a serial, and that's kind of what a comic book is, basically, meaning the story could always end usually on a little cliffhanger by the next issue or see the next story to get, the rest of the story. But anyway, the story went on for like 4 months, and it had 8 episodes and ended at chapter 15. But by popular demand, it was brought back in February of 1882. And then in February of 1883, the story was published into a single book. So we're going to kind of read it in the serial form. So it might jump around a bit. So just keep in mind, some of the timeline may be seem a little weird, but here we go. So it starts off in Tuscany, Italy. A carpenter named Master Antonio he finds this log that he plans to use to carve a table leg. Because, why wouldn't you? It's kind of weird, a single table leg, but, still.
No, maybe it was just a perfect shade, and he ran out of wood while making the table.
It is just kind of funny when you think he finds this log, he's going to carve a single table leg.
I don't know, maybe it was a small log.
Maybe so. I don't know. Okay, anyway. However, when he begins to carve into it, it becomes frightening because it yells out.
Okay, then.
So...
It's some enchanted log.
There we go. So what else could he do at this point? He gives it to his neighbor, Geppetto.
Okay.
Because, why wouldn't you?
You just give your neighbor some screaming wood?
Right. Because he knows Geppetto wanted to carve a puppet out of it and use it to make a living as a traveling puppeteer. So, it's already screaming. I don't know. It's kind of twisted when you think about it purely, but yes. Okay, so... he carves a boy, and he names it, of course, Pinocchio. So once he's done, he teaches the puppet to walk, and then Pinocchio immediately repays him by running out the door, just running away. So he is caught by, and I hope I'm saying this right, a carabiniere, which is basically the local police in Italy or whatever at that time. And he immediately, of course, assumes correctly that Pinocchio is being mistreated, and he imprisons Geppetto, because, why wouldn't you? And why would he do
This is a doll.
I know, exactly. It's a doll, but why would he just immediately think he was mistreating him just because the kid ran out in the street? But whatever. Yeah. So, of course, they just immediately imprison Geppetto. It's a poor old Geppetto. There we go. He teaches him to walk. He runs away.
Apparently wooden dolls have rights.
Evidently. We didn't know.
In Italy, at least.
I don't know. Maybe he told me he gives them. I don't know. Okay. So now Pinocchio's all on his own. So, of course, he goes then and decides he's going to head on back to Geppetto's house, which wasn't good enough for him a few minutes ago. Now he's heading on back there. And when he gets there, he meets Talking Cricket. Now, this is not going to beat the chimney cricket of the regular Pinocchio. The cricket warns him of the perils of being disobedient and of laziness. So Pinocchio then repays him for this and throws a hammer at the cricket, killing it.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know. That sounded like something Jimmy Cricket would say.
I know. Okay, so we haven't heard the last of the cricket, though. He's going to come back into play, but in a weird way. We want to live with that. Okay. So he's killed the cricket, and he then decides he's going to cook an egg. But a chick hatches from it and runs away to find food. The egg he's going to use, so he hadn't got an egg. So then he goes and decides to knock on a neighbor's door. But they think he's playing a prank, and so they dump water on him. And now he's all cold and wet, so he goes home, he lies down on the stove. Because, why wouldn't you? You're made of wood. And upon awakening, he discovers his feet have been burned off. It's not funny, but it is.
Wait, so let me get this straight. He can feel cold, he can feel wet, but he can't feel heat, and he's made of wood.
Apparently not. Okay, so he has no feet. But luckily, Geppetto is miraculously released about this time from prison.
Maybe they realized he wasn't a real boy.
I guess maybe, I don't know. But anyway, he's miraculously released. I guess they discovered that cop had arrested somebody for the abuse of a puppet. But anyway, so he comes home from prison, and of course, what does he do? He gives Pinocchio 3 pairs to eat for breakfast and makes him a new pair of feet. Because, I mean, well, wouldn't he?
It's pretty quick to forgive.
It's kind of weird that he's not a weird boy, but he gives him food to eat.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, no weirder than him being able to feel certain things, but not others.
Yeah. Okay, so, in gratitude, he promises that he's going to attend school. So Geppetto makes him an outfit consisting of a dress made of flowered paper, tree bark shoes, a cap made of dough. Hey! So he sends him out dressed for success. And then Geppetto sells his coat to buy him a spelling book.
Okay.
So that's really sweet. He sells his only coat to buy him a spelling book after he made him that pretty flowered dress and that hat made of dough and all that. But anyway. So on his way to school, he goes past the Great Marionette Theater. And, you know, of course, he is not going in here.
Well, why would he?
Exactly. He's a good boy. He's going on to school. But, lo and behold, no. He sells his spelling book immediately and buys a ticket for the show.
How expensive are these tickets?
I don't know. And who's running around?
How cheap are these spelling books? And or how cheap was that coat?
I don't know. Exactly. And who's wanting to buy these books and stuff? I mean, it must have been a hot commodity back in the day. But anyway, during the performance, the puppets call out to him, and this angers the puppet master. So he decides to use Pinocchio for firewood for his dinner. Because why not, right? I mean, the other puppets have recognized the puppet in the audience. And of course, he's angered by this. It's funny. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Apparently, living puppets are a normal thing in this.
Evidently.
Apparently, they might actually have rights.
Maybe they do. Apparently so. So, Pinocchio pleads for his salvation. And then the puppet master learns of Geppetto's poverty. So, he decides to release him, and he gives him 5 gold pieces for his trouble.
Well, gee, I wonder what he's going to do with the gold.
I'm sure he's going to carry it home to Geppetto, because he gave it to him because of Geppetto's poverty. But, you know. So, on his way home, he meets a cat and a fox. The cat pretends to be blind, and the fox pretends to be lame. And then a bird tries to warn him of the lies, and so the cat just eats it. So, you know, that doesn't look sus at all. You know, somebody's like, hey, don't be around them, and they just immediately kill the messenger. So, yeah. Apparently he sees nothing wrong with this. So, the two then convince him that if he plants his coins in the Field of Miracles outside the city of Catchpools, they will grow into a tree with gold coins.
I see nothing wrong with this plan. No red flags anywhere.
No, of course not. Nothing is out of the ordinary here yet. So they decide to have dinner at the Red Lobster Inn. That's exactly the name of it, which is kind of funny.
Oh my God. This just crossed my mind. There's a game that I used to play, a fairly recent one. Told you about this before. It's based off of Pinocchio. Apparently it's based off of the original Pinocchio.
Right.
And there was a couple of characters, a cat and a fox. Yeah. The actual people dressed up and matched the fitting attire, wearing a cat mask and one wearing a fox mask.
Uh-huh.
And then there was the Red Lobster Inn that was home to the group called the Black Rabbit Brotherhood.
Uh-huh. Well, there are
and
some
the main character was Pinocchio.
Rabbits actually do come to play later.
Yeah, I remember that. Anyways, continue.
But anyway, so they're at the Red Lobster Inn, where, of course, they trick him into paying for their meal, and then flee after telling the innkeeper to tell him they will meet him at the field in the morning. Now, I don't really know why they tell this. I mean, I couldn't foresee like they're trying to ambush him. No. I mean, you know, but anyway, they run away. So, of course, now he's going to go on home, right?
Well, yeah, it's the logical thing to do.
Exactly. I mean, they've left him, but no, they're waiting for him in the field, remember? So, I mean, he's got to go. So, he sets off for the city of Catchpools. Then the ghost of the talking cricket appears to him and tells him to go home and give the coins to his father. So I told you the cricket was coming back into play, but now he's the ghost. But anyway, but he ignores his pleas and he heads on and he passes through a forest. And then, lo and behold, the cat and fox, disguised as bandits, ambushing Robin. I mean, we could have never foreseen this coming.
He deserves this at this point.
Really,
he kind of deserves
he
this.
Does. But during the ruckus, he managed to bite off one of the cat's paws.
Jesus.
And then escape to a White House. So he bites off one of the cat's paws, runs off, and goes to this White House. Now, this is a part that is kind of, I'm not laughing because it's funny, but it is kind of
off the walls.
It's off the walls, and it's kind of gruesome. So, okay, I'll just leave it at that. So in the house, he is greeted by a fairy who has turquoise hair. Now, this turquoise color comes up a lot after this, so keep that in mind. Who says she is dead and she's waiting for the hearse. Okay, so that's...
Well, it's already been established ghosts are real.
Okay, but we're not done. So, sadly, the fox and the cat, about this time, they find him. So they, of course, hang him from a tree. But after getting tired of waiting for him to pass away, they just leave him there.
No, I mean, he is a puppet.
Exactly, so he doesn't have to breathe, and plus he's really live, probably. So,
Probably.
I mean, it's not funny, but Jesus, this is
you think they'd be better at this? And yeah, this is a children's
story. So, anyway, this leaves him, to kind of pass away alone and think about his misbehavior. So that, of course, now he's going to turn everything around. So the fairy, she rescues him and calls for 3 others to evaluate him: an owl, a crow, and the ghost of the talking cricket. Because, why not? So the owl says he's alive, the crow says he's dead, and the ghost of the talking cricket says he's fine, but has been disobedient and hurt his father. Because why wouldn't you throw that in? I mean,
it's true.
It's true, but it kind of doesn't seem like the time or place. But anyway. So the fairy offers this medicine to Pinocchio, which he takes. And then he's still lifeless at this point, and then several Undertaker rabbits appear to collect his body. Because, of course, I told you the rabbits were coming in the place. So he asks, then I guess that apparently is like Snow White and the coffin, coming alive. That brought him to life when they started to collect his body. So he comes awake and he asks the fairy what happened to his gold coins, and his nose grows because he told a lie. Because he knew what happened to the coins. I mean, he got bamboo, whatever. So the fairy tells him that his nose is growing because of his lies and causing a flock of woodpeckers to chisel it down to size.
I mean, is it really a lie if he just asks a question? He's not telling
I don't
something.
know. Apparently so. Because that's when his nose grew for the first time. And then she sends him for Geppetto to have him come back and live with her and him in the Forest Cottage. And, of course, this is where he's going to, go on back and do what he's supposed to do.
Well, of course.
So as he heads out to get Geppetto, he again meets the fox and the cat, who remind him of the Field of Miracles, because apparently he forgot. So he agrees to go with them.
Apparently he's also forgotten something else very
Apparently
important.
He has. And plant the gold. So they get there, and once there, he plants the gold and then leaves to wait for 20 minutes to give the tree time to grow. Now, why 20 minutes is the time, I don't know.
Magical field. It's a field of
I
miracles.
guess so. But, where he pulled this time from, I'm not sure. So he waits for it to grow, and then only to return, what do you figure he finds? Well, the cat and fox had dug up his coins and fled into the night or day or evening, whenever time of day this was. I mean, we couldn't have foreseen that coming either because, they've been very trustworthy thus far. So,
well, yes, it's not like they tried to murder him and succeeded.
Exactly. But anyway. So then, along the way, for some reason, he meets a parrot who mocks him for falling for the fox and cat's tricks.
He kind of deserves it.
Right. So he's stealing catchfuls, and he decides he's going to go to the catchfuls courthouse to report the theft of his coins to a gorilla judge. Because the judge in catchfuls is a gorilla.
Makes sense.
As it would be. So while the judge is moved by Pinocchio's pleas, he decides to sentence him to 4 months in prison for the crime of foolishness. Which is, why not? I guess if that was a crime, there'd be a lot more people in jail, but whatever. But luckily, he was released early when the Emperor Catchfools declares a celebration since his army had victory over the town's enemies. So they cause it was a big celebration, and I guess apparently lets everybody out of prison.
Why not?
No questions asked. I mean, I don't know why they're all in prison, but still. So anyway, after that, he then heads back to the forest where he meets, of course, an enormous snake with a smoking tail that's blocking the way. Because, I mean, how many times in the woods have you not walked up on a snake with a smoking tail? I mean,
To be fair, how many times have you walked into a courthouse and seen a gorilla?
well, there you go. It is what it is. So he asks it to move, but it just remains still. So he assumes, of course, that it's dead. So he decides to step over it, but the snake suddenly rises up and hisses at him. This causes him to topple over onto his head, and the snake finds this so funny that he laughs so hard that he bursts an artery and perishes.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, yeah. So that didn't get dark at all. And I mean, why the snake is even, I don't even know what this is even, why this is even in there. I mean, really.
That went very, very south very quickly.
It sure did. And what was the point of him even meeting the snake? I mean, I have no clue. So then he's trying to make his way back to the fairy's house. So along the way, though, he sees this farmer's yard and he sneaks in to try to steal some grapes. Apparently he's hungry again, as a wooden puppet would be.
Yeah.
So he's caught in this weasel trap now. What this is, I don't know. I don't know if it's like some kind of little cage thing they go in, can't get out of. Not sure. But the farmer finds him and, of course, ties him to a doghouse.
Yeah.
But luckily, Pinocchio then manages to fool the weasels that were going to steal the farmer's chickens, so the farmer frees him as a reward. Because, yeah.
Fair reward.
He's a weasel catcher, or what, I don't know what he means by fool. I don't know if he just stopped them, so that means they'll be back the next night. Now that I don't know. But anyway, so he finally makes it back to the fairy's house, but finds nothing but a gravestone. So of course he assumes the fairy is dead. So apparently the house and everything's gone. He finds nothing but a gravestone.
Didn't the fairy already say she was a ghost?
Yeah, she said she was dead, waiting for the hearse.
Yeah.
So yeah. So a pigeon sees him crying over the discovery, that the fairy is dead. We think. And he offers to give him a ride to the seashore. So when he gets there, he sees that Geppetto is building a boat to search for him. And then apparently he must have been right in the throes of like the last hammer throw, because the next part, pretty much, once he gets down on the beach and really gets down there where he's at, he's already in the boat and he's out in the water. Okay, so Geppetto is now on the boat out in the water. So he sees the boat and he's going to try to swim out to it. But he keeps getting washed back inshore.
He must be lost.
Because he's kind of driftwood, I guess, if you think about it. I mean, it's kind of funny, but yeah. So then, of course, out of nowhere, Geppetto is then swallowed by the terrible dogfish.
Jesus Christ.
I know.
Again, that went 0 to 100 very quickly.
Exactly. Because,
what did Geppetto do?
I don't know. So then there's this dolphin that just, of course, happens by. And Pinocchio accepts a ride from the dolphin to go to the island of Busy Bees, where everybody works every day.
Sounds like a good place for Pinocchio.
I mean, yeah, because she just saw Geppetto get swallowed, but he is nonplussed, apparently, and just ready to head on and get his life together. Okay, so once there, he meets this lady, and he offers to carry her jug home in return for food and water. Now, her jug of what? I don't know. Doesn't say. I don't know if she's like getting water out of a well, whatever. But anyway, she's got this jug. He's going to help her carry it home for some food and water. So upon arriving in her house, he recognizes her as the fairy. Now, why he couldn't tell this while they were out and about, I have no idea.
This is getting a fair bit random.
Okay, I'm trying to keep it straight, but because it's weird and twisted, but it's also funny.
Because it's so random.
It is, exactly. Okay, so she tells him she will act as his mother, and that he's going to begin going to school. She then hints that if he does well in school and is good for a whole year, he'll become a real boy. Now, why this is just randomly brought up at this time, I really don't know.
He's basically a real boy already.
Apparently
He's got to eat. Apparently, he has to breathe.
Yeah. And I haven't heard him say anything about wanting to be a real boy,
No.
I mean, it hasn't been brought up in the story at all, nothing. So whatever. But anyway, so he works hard and he rises to the top of the class. Of course, why wouldn't he? You got to think about the brain. And this wooden brain just pumping away. I mean, whatever. It is sort of silly when you think about it like that, but whatever. Okay, so this, of course, makes the other boys jealous.
Well, of course.
Of course. So they trick him into playing hooky by telling him that they saw the sea monster that swallowed his father at the beach.
That's just mean.
Right. So, and of course, they were lying. And as they got to the beach, a fight breaks out. Can you imagine fighting with a wooden puppet? I mean, he's so light he can't even swim out. He keeps getting swatched back. I mean, he's just like, one punch and you would knock him like, what, 50 feet or something. It's almost comical to think about. But anyway, so somehow he escapes the fight and he's walking away. All right. So he's gone. He's got away. I don't know how he escapes, but he's gone. And so along the way, he sees this drowning dog and he goes out and saves it because, he's a good boy. He saved the drowning dog. Now, why this is randomly mentioned will be told in a moment because the dog does come back into play briefly. So then he meets someone known as the Green Fisherman, who, of course, decides he's going to eat him. So, yeah, the Green Fisherman is going to eat this wooden puppet boy.
Why not? Makes perfect sense.
It sure does.
Makes more sense than some of the stuff in this story.
Yeah, really though. But luckily, the dog that he had saved earlier comes to his rescue.
All to find out it was the dogfish all along.
There we go. Yeah, really, that would be a good twist. But no, it doesn't have to get that good. So then, of course, he meets a snail that works for the fairy. And she decides that he should get another chance to be a good boy again. Because, apparently she's got a lot of pull. But anyway, so he again does well in school and the fairy promises him he will be a real boy the next day. And he should invite all of his friends over for a party because, he's going to be a real boy. So while on his way to do this, he runs into Candlewick, who is one of his friends from school. One of his closest friends, if we're going to get right down to the nitty gritty. I mean, him and Candlewick are like two peas in a pod, peas and carrots.
Why didn't Candlewick help?
There we go. I don't know. He wasn't there on the fight. He doesn't have your back, but he's a good friend. I don't know.
He also could have warned them.
Yeah, really, right? So he tells Pinocchio that he's headed to Toy Island, which is a place where children play all day and never work or study. So, of course, Pinocchio tells him, no, Candlewick, I can't go with you. But, we're talking about Pinocchio. So, of course, he goes with him.
But what about becoming a real boy?
Apparently he doesn't care about that right now. He's going to Toyland. And he gets there and they have a wonderful time for the next 5 months. So then one morning, as you do, Pinocchio and Candlewick woke up with donkey's ears.
Okay. Again, that's so random.
Exactly. So then there's this marmot, and he tells them that they have gotten donkey fever because apparently that's running rampant in Toyland. And he says that they get this since boys that only play and never work or study turn into donkeys.
Well.
So keep that in mind, boys. If you only play and never work or study, you're going to wake up one day and start turning into a donkey because that's what happens. So soon after, now I don't know how soon, but soon after, he and Candlewick are fully transformed and Pinocchio is sold to a circus where he is trained to do tricks in donkey form.
Oh, and he became a donkey rather than a real.
Right. And okay, so he's doing these tricks until he sprains his leg upon seeing the fairy in the audience. Now, this time he can see her from afar and immediately know that it's her. Other times it takes him a minute. But anyway, the ringmaster then, of course, sells him to a man that wants to skin him and use his hide to make a drum. Because he's sprained his leg, so he's not used to anybody anymore.
And he's a donkey now. So.
And he's a donkey now. So the man wants to accomplish this, I guess, killing the donkey. So he throws him in the sea to drown. And I don't think that would be a good way to do this, but what do I know? But when he goes to retrieve the body, he finds Pinocchio now a puppet again, who explains that the fish ate away all the donkey skin off him, and he's now a puppet. Oh, yeah.
Wait. This makes even less sense.
It kind of goes off the rails there a little bit, because it's like, that was just so.
So he was just a puppet in a donkey suit then?
Sort of. I mean, really. Yeah. That's what it's basically saying, because it ate it away, and then they was inside there once they did it. So, yeah. I guess we see donkeys, be careful, it can be a puppet in a donkey suit. But yeah, it's goofy.
Jesus.
But anyway, Pinocchio then decides to dive back into the sea and swim away.
Oh, he can swim now.
Now he can swim now, apparently so. And I guess he's been bulking up practicing, I don't know. But he's then swallowed by the terrible dogfish. Inside, he finds Geppetto, and they are able to escape with the help from a large tuna.
Okay.
And then they decide to look for a new place to live. So they're out. He's rescued him with the help of this large tuna. Doesn't have a name, just large tuna. Okay, so now, of course, traffic chaos averted. Everything's going good. So they're going to find a place to live. So along the way, they happen upon the fox and cat, who are now actually lame and blind for real. And they plead for food and money, but Pinocchio tells them that they've earned their misfortune. And
so Pinocchio's all mature now.
Yeah, he's all mature now, and he just leaves them for whatever happens. Not a feeling. He's so cold out. This little puppet, oh my God, it's hilarious when you think about it like that. How little it must have been, short, and everything.
Yeah.
It's kind of comical. But anyway, so the pair then arrive at this small house, which is home to the ghost of the talking cricket. Because, why wouldn't it be? Who tells them that he got the house from a goat with turquoise hair.
Perfectly normal thing to say.
Exactly. And remember, the fairy had turquoise hair.
There's no way there could be a connection.
Yeah, you're probably right. I'm thinking I maybe remember it wrong, but it does seem like turquoise did play a part. But maybe I am. So Pinocchio, he's going to go ahead and be a good boy now. So he gets a job working for a farmer, where he meets Candlewick, and Candlewick is dying and soon succumbs. And Candlewick was still a donkey. So why he would be dying, I really don't know, because it doesn't seem like it's that much time has passed. You wouldn't think, but whatever. So after a few months of working for the farmer and supporting his father, he goes to town with 40 pennies that he has saved from his little paycheck or whatever. He's going to buy himself a new suit. Apparently now he's too good for that paper flower dress and all that stuff. So while there,
to be fair, I got to imagine that dress ain't so much a dress no more.
Very well.
All the crap he's been through, I imagine there's barely anything left.
I couldn't imagine it to survive, no, by any stretch. But anyway, so while there, getting his new suit, he meets the snail that worked for the fairy he met earlier that gave him another chance. And she tells him that the fairy is ill and needs money. Oh, this fairy sounds like she may be running a racket, because she was.
How is she ill if she's dead?
Exactly. She told him she was a goat, waiting on she's already dead and everything when he first met her. I'm dead waiting on the hearse. But yeah. So, of course, he gives the snail all of his money, his 40 pennies, and that night he dreams the fairy visits him and kisses him. And when he awakens, he is a real boy, and he sees his lifeless puppet body lying in a chair, which sounds creepy to me. And he also found that the fairy had left for him a new suit, boots, and a bag with 40 gold coins.
Probably just a test then. I assume it's just a test.
Right. So anyway, that's pretty much the end of it. He finally gets to be a real boy or whatever.
Yay!
And he got his new suit. Even got him some boots and got 40 gold coins for his 40 little pennies. But anyway, that one, it's a good story. I mean, I could definitely see why this would have been very popular with children, because this is crazy. He has some adventures. I mean, he really does. So they could have stretched, I hit on just the high points. There's a lot of stuff, of course, that happened, in between.
I only have one question. Why does a ghost cricket need a house?
I don't know. Maybe he came back like the fairy. I don't know. I always thought that too. When I was reading it the first time and just kind of going over it and everything, I was like, that sounds stupid. But then again, is it even any more stupid than he got it from a goat with turquoise hair?
Not
I
really.
mean, why?
I mean, it would make sense that ghosts can kind of shape shifts, kind of
Yeah, but
thing.
I mean, why a goat?
I don't know.
I mean, why not just a person or something? I don't know. Whatever. But anyway, we hope you enjoyed that. I
I
just read
know
a
I sure did.
it was just some fun way that we wanted to share. On our next episode, though, we are going to pick up with some of the haunted places, folklore, and things like that from Italy. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe, and don't forget to
Stay
stay disturbed.
disturbed.